Tonight on CTV News at 6, cruising to Calgary at 1:20. The province launches the idea of increased speed limits on some Alberta highways.
Matching design engineered speeds on rural divided highways with the actual speed limit to be 120.
Complex classes tackling one of the main complaints of striking teachers.
The time for recommendations has passed, and the time for actions is now.
And welcome to Brickmanton.
Yeah, I don't know what the population is. Lost count a long time ago.
An ever-growing land of Lego in Edmonton.
But it is so much fun just building Lego every day and making videos about it.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. Speeds could soon be higher on some Alberta highways. The province has launched an online survey to gather feedback on raising speed limits. CTV's Brendan Purdy joins us now in studio. And Brendan, how big of an increase is the province considering and where?
Well, Jeff, it would be on some rural highways that are currently set at 110 kilometers an hour. The province is thinking of bumping those up to 120. Now, there will be stipulations as to which highways could see increases. It would be limited to divided highways and wouldn't include low-speed segments of road that run through urban areas or First Nations lands. The transportation minister also says right now he's not considering changing speeds on the ring roads in either Edmonton or Calgary.
Matching design engineered speeds on rural divided highways with the actual speed limit to be 120 is something that we think would go a long way of reducing the commute times in rural Alberta in a really safe way, with it being only on divided highways.
Not all frequent highway users are keen on this idea. The president of the Towing and Recovery Association of Alberta is concerned about safety.
We work on Highway 2 between the airport and Edmonton, and that's one of the busiest stretches in the capital region. And we've had our trucks hit several times. We've had our staff members hit, and we've added blue lights to our trucks to make them more visible. But that being said, we're still noticing some people not slowing down as they go past us. And it's concerning if they're going to jump the speed limit because they're already not slowing down, so they're just going to be going faster now.
In response, the province says it's committed to balancing efficiency with safety. Now, Alberta isn't the first province to attempt a speed limit bump up to 120 kilometers an hour. In 2014, BC raised some sections of highway by 10 clicks an hour. 4 years later, it reversed that decision for 570 kilometers of road. Another change Alberta is considering is restricting semi-trucks from using the far left lane on highways that have 3 or more lanes. The online survey runs until December the 12th. Jeff?
All right, Brendan, thank you. The Premier says she'll lead an 11-person cabinet committee to address issues with classroom sizes and complexity. The group also aims to create new policy on inclusive education. As Jeremy Thompson reports, one local disability advocate fears it will lead to segregated classrooms.
We have had a challenging start to the 25-26 school year.
That is how the Premier describes the recent 3-week-long Alberta-wide teachers' strike, which her government ended in unprecedented fashion using the notwithstanding clause of the Constitution. The province is now creating a new cabinet committee to address concerns it couldn't iron out through collective bargaining with teachers.
This committee will not spend months just to provide recommendations. The time for recommendations has passed, and the time for actions is now.
Overflowing classrooms with many students who require extra attention is one of the core issues that led teachers to strike. Part of the cabinet committee's mandate is to help develop new inclusive education policy. Spokesperson for Inclusion Alberta worries the province is on a path back to segregated classrooms for students with complex needs.
I think that a lot of parents feel like their kids are considered the problem. And that's unfortunate.
Trish Bowman is frustrated her group isn't on the committee, despite a pledge from the education minister to consult inclusion advocates. She says the research on inclusive learning is clear.
It's been recognized for decades that it produces superior outcomes educationally and socially for all children.
The Alberta Teachers Association says the government's commitment to fast action is proof teachers have been heard. However,
there will be a level of mistrust by teachers teachers as we go into this.
The province is giving school boards 2 weeks to provide data on class sizes and student needs. President Jason Schilling says that won't be an issue.
Boards have been collecting this data. It's just government chose not to collect it and report on it.
The government is also setting up a teacher council outside the committee, which Minister Nicolaides plans to consult frequently, a role the Teachers Association says it already plays. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Some local businesses are hoping a new city council will help with an old problem. They say closed streets are keeping customers away. CTV's Evan Kenny has more on the construction and what may be a possible solution.
Traffic flows along Jasper Avenue downtown, but when cars try to head north on 105th Street, they hit a standstill. 105th goes down to one lane north of Jasper because of construction on the Coast Hotel.
We need to continue investing in our city, and construction is part of that.
One block over, 106th Street is closed between Jasper and 102nd Avenue due to LRT drainage work. 102nd is only open to eastbound traffic.
I don't understand how the city plans out traffic flow for around here.
Local businesses say the construction is costing them money. Custom Orthopedics parking lot has limited access.
We've had a number of patients call us saying, I'm sorry, I just can't get in there. We're not coming today. So we're losing business just because of the traffic situation.
Tim Moffat says he feels like the store is being neglected by the city.
It's very frustrating. We pay our taxes and we expect a little bit of help for this kind of stuff. They keep talking about, let's revitalize the downtown area. Let's get people back down here. But they make it difficult for people to get here and to enjoy the area.
Custom Orthopedic and other businesses went to City Council multiple times asking for help during this construction. Now, the last City Council voted against this 3 separate times. Councillor Ann Stevenson hopes this is something the new council can revisit.
I think looking even at how our tax assessment works during significant construction projects would be a good approach.
The drainage work is expected to last 3 months. Evan Kenny, CTV News, Edmonton.
After more than a year of construction, Edmonton's newest downtown park is complete.
3, 2, 1, O'Damon!
O'Damon Park, named after its ward, is located off Jasper Ave between 106th and 108th Streets. The park replaces gravel parking lots. The city says the project has helped attract private development. One apartment tower next to it was recently finished. There are more applications for the neighboring lots. The park cost the city $48.6 million.
I remember when we approved it about 8 years ago saying, oh, you're going to spend millions of dollars on a park? Is that really worth it? Literally, what we heard today, about 1,600 units of new residential development are happening because of this park.
The park includes a hill for tobogganing, an off-leash dog park, and a pavilion with public washrooms. After weeks of uncertainty, a staple of Edmonton's food scene has a new home and outlook on the future. Continental Treat will reopen tomorrow at the German Club in southeast Edmonton. Amanda Anderson reports.
After a bankruptcy and abrupt eviction, Sylvester Barocca thought his restaurant Continental Treat was done for good after 40 years of operation.
I don't think I can find words for that because that was my biggest worry.
But now he's sitting in the new location for Continental Treat, located at the German-Canadian Cultural Association on Roper Road.
We're thrilled to work with the German Club. You know, it's they accept us like family, and we're just very grateful that they did reach out to us.
When the association's vice president, Frank Friesacker, heard about Continental Treat's challenges, they struck a deal for it to move into the restaurant space here.
Very excited to have Sylvester and his team, the Continental Treat name associated with us here at the German Club.
Both the association and restaurant have struggled since the pandemic and see this as a way to not only help each other survive, but thrive for several more decades.
But how do we get Continental Treat's loyal customer base to be enjoying wonderful food and drink and come and see our club and see everything that we have to offer and all of the activities and new initiatives that we are undertaking. So we'll have a new audience for that.
The majority of our customers were from Europe, especially like Poland, Germany, Austria, and so on. So we thought it would be like a perfect fit.
Continental Treat will have the same menu, and its hours will be similar to what it had before.
So it's going to be gluten-free friendly till we get certified.
Food prep is already happening.
We're more excited than nervous, because we just want to serve our customers.
Continental Treat is set to open in its new home tomorrow. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
An Edmonton soldier will play a special role in this year's Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa. Sergeant Kevin Deng will be a part of the Remembrance Day Century program. 11 members of the Canadian Armed Forces, along with one member of the RCMP, were nominated to participate. The honor of distinction is based on criteria such as deployment experience, community involvement, physical fitness, and record of conduct. During the ceremony, Deng will lead the Century group, serving as Century Commander.
Being selected, it's a huge, profound honor. It's a huge responsibility. It represents the highest honor and privilege to lead the centuries in paying respects to those who served and sacrificed for our country.
Deng has been serving with Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry since 2014. He was deployed to Latvia 2 separate times in 2023 and 2024. Victims of impaired driving are reminding people to plan ahead for a ride home as we enter the holiday season. Mothers Against Drunk Driving launched its Red Ribbon campaign at Edmonton City Hall today. It's encouraging people to show their commitment to sober driving by placing a red ribbon or decal on their cars. The organization says impaired driving still kills hundreds and injures thousands every year in Canada. In 2020, an impaired driver struck another vehicle head-on going the wrong way on a divided highway. 2 of Morgan Maltby's friends died, and she spent 8 months in hospital.
I think a lot of people think this could never happen to me, or that just doesn't happen, but it can, and it can happen to anybody. And mothers should never lose children. No one should ever lose somebody from such a careless act.
You can get a red ribbon or a decal at the Mad Canada website. Road safety advocates are hoping people will put the brakes on unsafe winter driving. They hope people will take caution and consider different tires. Nerman Issa has more on the difference winter tires can make on slick roads.
Winter tires are being put on this car just in time for the first big snowfall of the season.
And we had a lot of those proactive people through October kind of calling for the seasonal changeovers. And as this first snowfall hit, the phones exploded.
Cliff Turner owns Shire Tire, a mobile tire changing service. He says he's seeing more drivers inquire about winter tires.
Winter tires really are the king when we get into the extreme situations where we've got that extreme cold, the ice and the snow.
Turner says winter tires should be changed out every 5 seasons or so. He says the tire industry is competitive, so manufacturers are constantly trying to outmaneuver one another.
Always just that little bit better each year, a bit more tolerant to the weather so they can stay malleable and grip the roads a little bit better.
The Alberta Motor Association is a big proponent of winter tires.
It does give you better stopping power on ice, 15 meters to be exact, which is about 3 car lengths. So that's going to be the difference between getting to work safely or getting home safely or getting into an accident.
Brandon Clausen says AMA has seen a reduction in the number of calls for vehicles sliding into curbs. He believes it's due to more people using winter tires. However, he cautions drivers to still drive to road conditions.
Winter tires don't make you invincible, so we still really want to encourage, you still have to drive to road conditions, especially on the highways where, it may say 100 kilometers an hour, but it's not safe to do 100 kilometers an hour.
In Canada, winter tires are mandatory in Quebec and on designated BC highways. When asked if the Alberta government would follow suit, Transportation Minister Devin Dreeshen says, "We trust Albertans to make the right call on their own vehicles. We encourage proper winter or all-weather tires, but we're not pursuing a province-wide mandate." Nerman Issa, CTV News, Edmonton.
All right, Josh is out and about tonight in Cameron Heights. I see you have some new friends, Josh.
I do have a new friend who's, this is the mighty Luca. What is this big? The snowman you're going to build tomorrow?
Yeah.
Really? Only that big?
This big.
Okay, that seems a little more like it. Are you a fan of the snow, Luca?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you like this house, too?
Yes.
Yes? Do you think people should buy tickets and maybe win it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Have you bought your tickets? Yeah, there you go. This is Mom, Kim. Kim, how are you?
Good.
So tell us a little bit about the mighty Luca's story here. He had a fever and then got checked into the stollery, and then where did it go from there?
Yeah, so it just kind of happened overnight. Luca got a really high fever, was quite sick, and so I took him into Emerge.
Yep.
And
I'm going to go this way so we can see.
and things just kind of evolved very quickly overnight. Luca deteriorated quite a bit, and before we knew it, he was rushed to the ICU, where we were told the situation was twofold. He was in septic shock from a strep infection, and then the reason why he was septic is because he has leukemia. So he spent a week intubated in the ICU. He sustained a stroke. It was a very, very scary time for us. We weren't sure if he was going to pull through, but he did. We moved to oncology. He completed 2.5 years of treatment, and he's been cancer-free for just over 2 years now.
That's awesome. Well done, Luca. Good job on being cancer-free. So what do you have to say to like the nurses and the doctors at the Stollery and how important it is to have that here?
I don't know if we can really put it into words. I mean, at the end of the day, like, my children mean everything to me, and just the fact that his life was in their hands and he's still with us today I can't even put into words how grateful we are.
Okay, so if you would like to help create more happy stories like the mighty Luca, go to mightymillionslottery.com. Luca, do you know when the deadline is for people to get tickets?
For nerds.
For nerds? This is not for nerds. This is for winners, Luca. For winners only. Midnight tonight is the absolute final deadline. So go get your tickets there. Don't forget about the 50/50 add-on as well. Luca, do you want to quickly help me talk a little bit about the weather?
The weather is snow.
It was snow. How was your drive over?
Good.
You drove? Mm-hmm. Really? You drove. Your mom let you drive on those icy roads. That doesn't seem right. It's -2 right now. Do you think that snow is going to melt quickly, Luca?
Yes.
Yes. But I think you should be able to build a snowman tomorrow before it is all gone, okay? How does that sound?
Good.
Okay, there you go. We'll come back, have a full look at your 5 and 10 day forecast, talk about that little warm-up. Luca, great job. Excellent work. Kim, thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you, Josh, and thank you, Luca. Coming up on CTV News at 6, attacked, then robbed.
I didn't think they were so aggressive. I thought maybe they would be curious and somewhat cute.
A raccoon steals an Alberta teen's starburst after biting him. Also ahead.
This is Kalispell putting their best foot forward.
Montana City launches a campaign offering Canadians special deals and discounts. Calgary's raccoon population is growing. One of those masked critters recently gave a teen quite the scare. He was in his backyard hot tub when the animal attacked and then robbed him. CTV's Tim Brooke reports.
He's seen rabbits, squirrels, even a skunk. But as Jacob Gottme climbed into his hot tub Monday, the animal in his backyard was completely unexpected.
Out of nowhere, I'd hear something, and I look over.
What the 14-year-old saw was a raccoon staring directly at a bag of Starburst candy in his hand.
I was just so shocked that I didn't think they bite you, because I've seen videos before where they're so chill.
But this one latched onto his elbow. Even days later, you can still see the imprints left behind.
Pretty painful at the moment.
I didn't see the raccoon at that time, but he was terrified to get off. And I opened the door to the balcony and I just said, run into the house.
Oh, it's so fat.
It kind of scared me away. And then after I was away, just climbed up there and got it.
What the hell? It took the whole freaking package of your food, Jacob.
The candy was gone, but the bizarre night wasn't over. Next stop for the family, the ER.
The way to get a risk assessment done is to contact HealthLink, so 811, and they'll kind of walk through that situation with the person. We have previously had fox rabies and skunk rabies in Alberta before, but we were able to eradicate it.
In the last 2 years, 359 samples have been tested for rabies in Alberta. Only 8 have come back positive. All of those were linked to bats. Good news for Gottme, who was prescribed a round of rabies shots just to be safe.
He's going to be fine, and I'm glad that I went and they took care of it.
It just might take a little time to return to the hot tub.
We haven't seen it since. I don't know what their patterns are generally like, but we've taken all the food supply away that we can.
Tim Brooke, CTV News, Calgary.
One travel destination in Montana is reaching out to Canadians, offering deals, discounts, and specials in an effort to lure them back for a visit. Discover Kalispell has launched its new Kalispell Canadian Welcome Pass in hopes of rekindling a friendship. CTV's Carson Marsouk explains.
It's a call to get more Canadians to visit the Flathead Valley in Montana. Discover Kalispell has unveiled its Kalispell Canadian Welcome Pass, offering Canadians a range of deals on lodging, retail, and dining.
We've always enjoyed visiting each other's countries, whether that's for recreation or business or shopping.
Passes in response to Canadian tourism to the U.S. plummeting largely due to the low Canadian dollar and U.S. President Donald Trump's comments about making Canada the 51st state and the ongoing trade war.
Differences and everything else aside, to be friends again, because at the end of the day, we're just humans trying to do our best for our economies.
Diane Medler says tourism is the biggest industry in northwestern Montana, and it's hurting local businesses.
There's been a 39% decrease in credit card spending in Kalispell by Canadians.
But it's different for those north of the 49th parallel.
Now, we've seen increased visitation here at the Visitor Information Center, not only from, international travelers, but from those coming up from the U.S.,
which Aaron Crane says is helping the entire region.
Those traveling within Alberta and Canada bring a smaller economic impact than those international and U.S. travelers do. So when they come up, we know they're spending more money in our communities, which is great. And that's what we like to see to really boost that visitor economy.
Well, Medler understands not everyone will be in favor of the pass, and she respects that. She hopes to rekindle a friendship between two close friends.
We have the ability to impact our communities at a much higher rate than we do to impact changes in our country. So this is Kalispell putting their best foot forward.
Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Still ahead, a sprawling miniature metropolis.
As soon as we bought our first modular building, I knew that one day I would be building a Lego city.
Brickmanton grows so large it needs new space.
We had a couple centimeters of snow through the day today, which the mighty Luca is very happy about, right, Luca? Because he wants to build a snowman tomorrow. You better build it tomorrow, though, Luca, because by the end of Sunday, that snowman, gone, melted. It's going to warm up in a big way over the weekend. We'll talk about that right after the break.
The Edmonton area is constantly growing. Tonight, a miniature city within the city appears to be growing just as rapidly. Matt Woodman visits Brickmanton, a sprawling metropolis built entirely out of Lego.
This is my Lego room.
The first time we met Lego YouTuber Jordan Forthsight, better known as Brixie, it was 2021. Since then, his Lego city and collection have outgrown his basement.
This is man, what are we going to do? We can't continue growing at this pace. We need to either get a bigger space or downsize our collection. And we decided to get a bigger space.
Welcome to the new Brickmanton.
I definitely won't be growing out of this place.
Brickmanton spans 75 square meters, includes millions of pieces and countless minifigs.
I don't know what the population is. Lost count a long time ago.
He and his wife started building Lego 10 years ago with a Star Wars set. Since then, their collection has grown to roughly 1,500 sets.
It snowballed pretty quickly, and as soon as we bought our first modular building, I knew that one day I would be building a Lego city.
He never imagined Brickmanton would take over an entire studio. There's a downtown core, a beach, harbor, and train yard, a campground, zoo, and an amusement park.
Going a little fast.
And as many details inside as there are out.
So all the buildings have an interior, and we can pop the floors apart, take the roofs off.
He's managed to turn his passion into a paycheck. His YouTube channel took off in 2020, allowing him and his wife to quit their jobs and focus on Lego full-time. It's a closed studio, but you can see everything online.
I'm currently working on some massive mountains which will go in the center of the city.
He finds building therapeutic, although it can become repetitive, layering brick after brick. But there's always something different to work on, which keeps it fresh.
It is so much fun just building Lego every day and making videos about it.
Like much of the world, even Brickmanton isn't immune to American tariffs. Lego, a Danish company, is no longer shipping certain pieces to North America. Brixie says for the most part, the pieces he needs are still available.
They still have what they call the best sellers available to Canadians, and that's mainly what we use within our city. But for sure, they definitely took a lot of the pieces away off their website.
So Brixie keeps building, and Brickmanton keeps growing. Matt Woodman, CTV News, Edmonton.
Okay, back out to Cameron Heights now. And Josh, I see you have another friend with you.
Yeah, I've got Cheryl Spencer Morley with me with the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation. We were just running a story about Lego. Imagine how much Lego you could build with like $850,000.
Oh, I know. We're 95% sold, so last chance to get your tickets till midnight tonight. Don't want to miss out on that, or the chance to win the $825,000 that the pot is at right now, and still more chances before midnight.
Yeah, that 50-50, it is growing. Okay, so you have until midnight tonight. You could win the 5,800 square foot house. Plus, you also get
$100,000 cash.
There you go. So one last push. How are ticket sales? Where are we at?
Oh, we're at 95%, but there's still time. We've got till midnight. Help us cross the finish line.
There you go. Awesome. Cheryl, thank you so much. Go to MightyMillionsLottery.com before midnight tonight. Oh, sorry, if you want to get in on the fantastic prizes that we have here. Don't forget to add on the 50-50 and the cash calendar. 31 days of cash starting in November. All right, there's what it looks like outside right now. River Valley Skycams brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed right over, it's free. We're at -2 in downtown Edmonton. Still a little bit of snow falling in parts of the city. -2 is where we've been through most of this afternoon. We're at 0, though, for a high early this morning, and that will officially go down as the daytime high. -4 off to the east in Lloydminster for the high today, and look at Jasper, up to 9 degrees earlier today. You see that little twist in southeastern Alberta, southwestern Saskatchewan? There's your low pressure system. You got some snow still falling fairly heavily in southeastern Alberta. Some significant amounts of snow from Red Deer off to the east and southeast earlier in the day today. That's still coming down from Stettler off to the southeast. And here in the Edmonton region, we're on the back edge now of that snow. So west of the city, it's pretty much done. East of the city, well, the snow will stick around for a couple more hours. So keep that in mind if you have plans to be on highways heading east of Edmonton. There'll still be a little snowy here through the next few hours. And then all those roads that were wet or mostly wet through this afternoon, they're going to turn icy later tonight and through tomorrow morning. The good news, it's a Saturday, so there shouldn't be as much traffic on the road for the morning commute. But if you are commuting tomorrow morning, watch for some fairly slick and icy sections. By tomorrow afternoon, should see a few sunny breaks, and we'll get a couple of degrees above 0. Then watch Sunday. You get a chance of some rain, and there may be some pockets of freezing rain in parts of the Peace Country early Sunday morning. I think all that rain stays north of Edmonton, though. The big story is the push of warm air that comes in for Sunday and Monday. Your temperatures Sunday afternoon are really going to depend on how much snow is still on the ground by Sunday morning. I think a lot of this snow will melt through the day tomorrow, but if there is still a centimeter or so of snow on the ground Sunday morning, we're probably only about 5 or 6 degrees for a daytime high. If the snow's all gone by tomorrow, then, well, we could get to maybe 7 or 8 for a high on Sunday. -2 in Edmonton right now, 5 still in Jasper, and -6 in Lloydminster and Fort McMurray. We'll see temperatures slide to -4 by tomorrow morning, get to about 3 degrees for a high with some sunny breaks tomorrow afternoon, and then even warmer into early next week. One more reminder. It's the $2.5 million grand prize package in the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation's Mighty Millions Lottery. You could win the house plus $100,000 cash. You have to go to MightyMillionsLottery.com before midnight tonight if you want to get in. Warmer for Sunday, Monday, but a little breezy as well. Gusts will be up around 30 kilometers per hour. Close to double digits there on Monday. 7 for Remembrance Day under partly cloudy skies, and still somewhere in the 3 to 5 degree range through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. Next chance for snow comes next Friday as well. So after a nice little blast, little preview of what's to come for winter today, that snow should be gone over the course of the next day or two, and there's no more rolling back in until maybe the end of next week. Jeff?
All right, thank you, Josh. Have a great evening and weekend. Coming up on CTV News at 6, federal election avoided for now.
How many seats do you need to have a majority?
I can't remember.
Do you want to answer?
Need a couple.
Carney government survives another confidence vote and
you are allowing them to kill the antibodies for H5N1.
Federal workers call hundreds of ostriches at a BC farm following a court ruling. The Liberal government is still standing after facing yet another test on Parliament Hill. Prime Minister Mark Carney's caucus survived a second confidence vote in as many days, just as Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre faced more questions over a second MP, this one from Edmonton, announcing plans to leave his party. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the latest from Ottawa.
MP Matt Genereux says he likely won't be leaving until the spring. But if the opposition are counting on the outgoing Albertans' vote, it's worth noting he didn't cast one in either last night's or today's confidence tests.
How many seats do you need to have a majority?
I can't remember.
Do you want to answer?
Maybe a couple. So call your local MP if they're not a Liberal and tell them.
Prime Minister Mark Carney joking about gaining more MPs after Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre lost a second in as many days. Multiple sources say Matt Genereux was in talks with senior Liberal staffers about crossing the floor this week. But Conservative Party officials made it clear there would be consequences if he did. Genereux pushing back, posting a second statement, insisting there was no coercion involved in his decision to resign. The party now saying his announcement was expedited by Liberal pressure tactics.
The only rumors I've heard of intimidation and harassment are from Liberals badgering Conservatives in elevators and calling them at home.
The drama driving chatter among MPs ahead of a second confidence vote in the Commons today.
Matt's been a wonderful colleague, and I wish him all the best.
I think there's some soul-searching going on.
Monsieur McKinnon gets no.
The government survived the Bloc Québécois attempt to reject the budget. And now Liberals will spend the next week selling their spending plans before the key final vote on November 17th.
I sure hope that the opposition parties see how much is in that budget for their own regions.
The Liberals got one seat closer this week with MP Chris D'Entremont crossing the floor, but are still a few votes shy of a majority government. And with the Conservatives and Bloc making their opposition to the budget clear, the focus will be on how the NDP vote or don't the week after next. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Canadian economy has surprised business analysts by adding 67,000 jobs last month. As CTV's Heather Wright reports, the overall unemployment rate was also down slightly to 6.9%.
For an economy that has been blindsided by U.S. tariffs, today's job numbers are welcome news. Unemployment is down, wages are up, and even some sectors like manufacturing and transportation, which lost a significant number of jobs in the summer, appear to be rebounding.
Over the course of September and October, we're actually seeing kind of a recovery in these sectors, and the sort of the level of employment in both sectors, we're now back to where they were kind of closer to the spring.
Canada added 67,000 jobs last month, with the overall unemployment rate dipping slightly to 6.9%. And while experts say this jobs report is a sign the labor market is beginning to recover, many are still struggling.
I've been applying to more than 100 jobs.
Catherine So is 22 years old and has been searching for months for a job as an early childhood educator. She's open to other jobs as well to help pay the rent, but she's struggling to find anything.
I'm definitely concerned about not landing a job as soon as possible, especially because I don't have much money saved up.
So is not alone. The youth unemployment rate is the highest it has been in decades, though it did drop from 14.7% in September to 14.1% last month. Another area economists are watching is part-time work. All of October's job gains were part-time positions, a sign of uncertainty in the market.
When businesses are looking to hire, they don't want to hire full-time because they're not sure what the coming year is going to look like.
This strong jobs report now has many economists predicting the Bank of Canada will hold its overnight lending rate at its next rate announcement in December after 2 consecutive cuts. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
More than 2,000 flights were canceled or delayed at dozens of busy American airports today as the government shutdown continues. A shortage of air traffic controllers who aren't being paid is grounding planes and frustrating travel plans. CTV's Joy Melvin reports.
The anxiety from it was crazy, like all morning, just like seeing if we were going to be good to go, you know? So, I don't know, it kind of sucks.
For travelers, it kind of does. With all eyes on the skies, thousands of flights are being delayed or grounded.
We stayed at a hotel last night that was, $150 out of pocket. Now we're going to be another, couple $100 out of pocket taking a rental car, driving it down.
And it's going to get a lot worse. Major airlines ordered by the Trump administration to drastically cut domestic flights at 40 of the busiest airports in America, ramping up flight reductions by 10% or more by next week until this government shutdown ends.
It is not a science, it is a art that we're trying to deploy to keep people safe in the airspace. We're trying to prevent the pressure that we now see building in the system.
Thousands of TSA screening agents and air traffic controllers, essential workers who keep the skies safe, are working without pay, with reports of burnout and calling in sick.
When you don't pay somebody for 37 days and say, hey, just keep showing up and do your best, people are going to have issues.
Canadians bound for the U.S. could get caught in the chaos.
The major airlines here in Canada will start to pull back on their flights because they don't have the slots to get in. But also, it's the overflying flights going down to the Caribbean, going down to South America. They have to fly over the U.S.
Fed up, angry, and pointing the finger at the politicians.
It's just all unexpected. I'm just sick of it. It's like, what about us?
These flight cuts are expected to disrupt holiday plans, and with the Thanksgiving travel rush just weeks away, the timing couldn't be worse. Joy Melbourne, CTV News, Washington.
Tensions are running high at a British Columbia ostrich farm. Gunshots rang out last night as the Canadian Food Inspection Agency moved in to cull hundreds of birds.
You are allowing them to kill the antibodies for H5N1.
Video sent to CTV News shows a tense scene as federal agents moved in. According to reports, more than 300 ostriches were herded into hay bale enclosures by agency workers in biohazard suits. The operation followed a Supreme Court decision rejecting a final appeal from the farm's owners. The CFIA first ordered the cull last December after a positive avian flu test. The case drew international attention and sparked protests over what critics called government overreach. Still ahead, the last episode in the crime tapes of Michael White.
Tonight, we have a closer look at those heart-wrenching details involving young Ashley.
What the jury didn't know, that there may have been a witness to Leanna White's murder. Stay with us. Checking on the markets, the Canadian dollar made slight gains, trading at 71 cents U.S. Oil was up 32 cents, closing the day at $59.75 U.S. a barrel. Gold gained nearly $19. The TSX and Dow Jones ended the day higher, up 43 points and 74 points, respectively. The last chapter in our new series from veteran reporter David Owasik, looking at historic criminal cases. Tonight on the crime tapes, we find out what happened after Michael White was found guilty in the killing of his pregnant wife, Leanna.
Not every piece of potential evidence becomes an exhibit at a murder trial, especially one in front of a jury. That's what voir dire hearings are meant to decide, the so-called trial within a trial to determine admissibility of certain exhibits or statements. And so it was with Michael White's murder trial. After he was found guilty and just before his parole eligibility was decided at sentencing, we revealed a claim that someone close to the case might have witnessed Leanna White's murder. The chapter the jury didn't get to hear on the crime tapes.
Ashley White, the young daughter of Leanna White, may have witnessed some of her mother's murder.
That is according to her grandmother in court documents that were not allowed at Michael White's trial. Still, however, the jury found him guilty of murder. And tonight, we have a closer look at those heart-wrenching details involving young Ashley. Here's David Owasik.
Maureen Kelly tells reporters that she believes her granddaughter Ashley may have been there when her dad murdered her mother.
Yes. You believe she witnessed some of what happened? I believe she saw pieces of it. I don't think she saw everything that happened, but I think she saw clips.
Statements not allowed to be heard by the jury seem to back up her beliefs. Little Ashley made many comments to Maureen and family friends. Among them, "Did you see the blood on Mommy's neck?" as she motioned from her own neck downward. After seeing a man who was a family friend cutting buns with a knife, the little girl once stated, "She'd have to go and sleep in the leaves with my mommy." And upon driving past the spot where her mother's body was discovered, 3-year-old Ashley told a family friend, "I've been here. My daddy took me here." She also told Maureen Kelly, "Grandma, did you see blood on the towels in the bathroom?" Maureen Kelly also stated Ashley said to her, "Lying in bed, and she heard a noise and she got up and it was Mommy on the floor." The alleged statements of young Ashley were not needed for the Crown to get its murder conviction against her father. After the jury's guilty verdict, Michael White tried to take his own life at the remand center. He was stitched up for 70 slash wounds to his wrists and neck, and he was then put on suicide watch awaiting his sentencing hearing.
Michael White faced a judge today and was told he must wait 17 years before he gets a chance at parole. David Owasik was in the courtroom for the decision and joins us with reaction tonight to the final phase of court proceedings against the man who murdered his pregnant wife, Leanna. David?
Carrie, Michael White simply nodded his head when he heard that 17 years must pass before he sees his first parole eligibility. Mike, anything to say about the decision? No comment? Michael White would not remain in protective custody forever, nor would he remain in Alberta to serve out his sentence. His term of parole ineligibility of 17 years finally ended in 2023. He was released in Ontario, and White has maintained his innocence in the murder of his pregnant wife, Leanna White. I'm David Owasik, and that concludes this story from the vaults of the crime tapes.
Coming up, the art of farming.
This is the first time I've been asked to use cabbage, lentils, jars of honey.
A truly made-in-Alberta mural.
It pushed the boundaries of how I work as an artist.
We'll tell you where you can find this piece of art.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV, starting at 7 with E-Talk.
Coming up Monday on Your Morning, how to offer support if someone you know is going through divorce, and why you might want to consider adopting a senior pet. We'll see you on Monday.
Your Morning Edmonton.
That incorporates 30 different Alberta-grown items is on display at Farm Fair International. The piece includes everything from lentils and peas to wheat and canola, all donated by local organizations and farmers. The artist behind the work says this is the first mural of its kind outside of Australia and the most unique project she's ever worked on.
Think about color. How do we make this vibrant, considering I don't get to use man-made materials? Red lentils is great. And so it pushed the boundaries of how I work as an artist.
Farm Fair is happening at the Edmonton Expo Centre and runs until 7 p.m. tomorrow. You can find the mural in the hallway near the food court. All right, that is our program for this evening and for the week. For news anytime, visit ctvnewsedmonton.ca. Thanks for sharing your time with us.